XRP holders are being warned that patience may be the hardest test right now, even as analysts continue to point toward a larger move ahead. That creates an uncomfortable situation for a lot of people. Because when expectations rise but price doesn't respond immediately, doubt tends to creep in. It starts to feel like nothing is happening. Or worse, that something should be happening but isn't. Today, I want to look at why patience is being emphasized, what analysts actually mean when they talk about a large move, and why the current XRP behavior may not be as negative as it looks on the surface. According to a recent TradingView report, analysts are warning XRP holders that the real challenge right now isn't price, it's time. The article highlights that XRP remains in a consolidation phase, with price moving sideways while expectations continue to build in the background. That gap between expectation and reality is important, because markets often test participants emotionally before they move technically, and that's where many people struggle the most. Sideways markets are often more difficult psychologically than falling markets. When price drops, at least something is happening. There's movement, volatility, and a sense of action. But when price goes sideways for long periods, it creates uncertainty. It forces people to question their thesis, their timing, and sometimes their patience. This is especially true for XRP, which has a history of moving in bursts rather than steady trends. That doesn't make the asset broken. It makes it structurally different. When analysts talk about a potential large move, they're usually not referring to short-term volatility or daily price swings. They're talking about a structural shift, a change in liquidity, participation, or positioning that takes time to develop. These shifts often build quietly. They don't come with constant signals or obvious confirmation. In many cases, the market looks dull right up until conditions finally align. That's why the waiting period often feels longer than expected. XRP has a long history of moving late compared to other major assets. During narrative phases, it can look unresponsive or slow, especially when attention is focused elsewhere. But when conditions change, XRP has historically reacted quickly, sometimes faster than expected. This delay isn't necessarily a flaw. It's part of how XRP interacts with liquidity and market participation. What looks like weakness in the moment can sometimes be restraint. It's important to separate patience from blind optimism. Patience doesn't mean assuming price must go higher, and it doesn't mean ignoring risk or uncertainty. It means understanding the difference between waiting with awareness and waiting with hope. The article doesn't suggest certainty. It suggests discipline, the ability to sit through uncertainty without overreacting to every short-term move or headline. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Extended consolidation phases often do more work than sharp price moves. They remove emotional positioning, they reduce impulsive decision-making, and they force participants to slow down. Whether XRP eventually moves higher or not, this phase is shaping how that move would unfold. It's part of the process, not a pause in it. Instead of focusing on daily candles or short-term price fluctuations, this is a period to watch behavior. How does price react to news? Does selling pressure follow negative headlines or fade quickly? Does volume increase or stay muted? These signals often tell you more about market intent than predictions ever will, and they tend to show up quietly, not dramatically. Waiting doesn't always mean missing out. Sometimes it means the market is still deciding who has the conviction to stay involved. That process can be uncomfortable. It can feel repetitive and unrewarding. But it's also a phase that many assets pass through before meaningful movement occurs. For XRP, this kind of waiting is historically familiar. So when analysts say patience may be the hardest test, they're not being dramatic. They're acknowledging that this phase doesn't reward excitement or urgency, it rewards understanding. Whether a large move comes sooner or later, the most important signal right now isn't price, it's behavior. And paying attention to that makes this period far more informative than it appears.